Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah. Dear sisters, let's make the future bright. Dear sisters, mothers, daughters and wives. Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear sisters in Islam, welcome to your program, Dear Sisters. We're with you live, inshallah, for the next hour. Thank you for joining us, and we would love to take your questions bid'nillahi ta'ala over this next hour. And we have a lot of questions that we received from you over the past few days on Facebook that we're going to be also asking Sheikh Ibrahim. So before we do anything, let me welcome Sheikh Ibrahim Zidan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing this afternoon?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Sisters, our phone numbers are 002-0238-555, 248 or 249. Also, feel free, inshallah, to give us a call through Skype at Huda_TV. Huda_TV. Inshallah, we're going to open up the phone lines beginning right now, so feel free, inshallah, to start giving us a call. Sheikh Ibrahim, we have a lot of questions from sisters on Facebook. First question is from Sister Fatima, and she says, Assalamu alaikum, I just want to know if there's clear reference on marriage over the phone or the internet, and in what situation is this kind of union acceptable? Just being confused about the sunnah of our beloved Prophet Muhammad versus bid'ah.
No. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. It's a very good question because when it comes to marriage and other different things that we do or we talk about matters of the deen, we have to make sure that it's done right, especially when it comes to marriage. The issue of phones and internet, some of the people, they take it easy about that, and they say as long as the wali is there and the two witnesses and the husband and the wife is there, then the matter is valid. It can be true that it's valid, fiqh-wise like this, but the ulama, the trustworthy one, most of them, they give the fatwa that this is something definitely to be avoided. And like Sheikh Ibn Baz and others. Why? Because you don't know who's on the other line, or people might fake things, or even if you know for sure, so it has to be limited.
Or unless if it's through Skype, for example.
Right. The thing is that, because of the marriage and because it makes what is haram halal, it's not a simple thing, it's not a simple task. Although the marriage happens by simple words, and it's very easy and simple for people to get married, but unless there is something that is clearly clear, many of the ulama really had, said that it's not good. Even Majma' al-Fiqh al-Islam, they said it's not a good thing to perform marriage through phone or internet or things like this.
So basically, unless there's a valid, serious situation, some sort of an exception, that should not be done. And I mean, it makes sense, because if we think about it, the point of marriage is for people to be together, right. And maybe they want to, consummate the marriage, right. afterwards. So it doesn't make sense for them to be in different parts. And
many of them, for example, the two people, sometimes they even didn't meet whatsoever. So you have the wali, for example. What if someone else is acting on the behalf of the wali, or this is not really the wali? Or the witnesses, are they really witnesses? Are they Muslims? Are they just, many things that you cannot really do it unless people are physically together. So as far as the ruling haram and halal, we cannot say that it's not permissible or the marriage is not valid, but it's something that should not be done. But if it's done in the proper way, and we put many lines under in the proper way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, but it should be avoided.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. That brings me to a related question. Is it required to have a sheikh present in order to make a marriage happen? What they call a ma'dhoon in different parts of the world.
No, as far as the legality of it or the fiqh matters, there's not something that is required for a sheikh or a person of knowledge or someone that his job is to perform marriages. There's no such a thing. And that's why when people, they have to go to a sheikh, it's maybe just to make sure that things are done correctly, but anybody can perform the marriage, even themselves with the presence of the wali and the two witnesses. There's never mentioned that has to be a separate party to perform the marriage. It's as long as the wife and the husband, actually the wife doesn't have to be there, but with the guardian, with the wali and the two witnesses, that's it, that's all what is needed.
Jazakallah khair. We have another question from Sister Qurayba. She says, how to pray the shortening of prayer. For example, I want to shorten my Dhuhr and Isha prayer because I'm traveling. Which prayer should I pray first when I'm praying during the time of Isha, or vice versa? Jazakallah.
With the issue of the Jam' and Qasr for a traveler, Qasr is sunnah, to shorten the prayer. This is from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ if a person is traveling. With the jam', there is differences, or the difference of opinion is more when it comes to jam', and to be used if a person is in need of it. So for example, in traveling while going or coming back, Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha, they can be combined, Dhuhr and Asr together and Maghrib and Isha together. Dhuhr and Asr in the time of Asr, Dhuhr or in the time of Asr, Maghrib and Isha either in the time of Maghrib or time of Isha. The question, if it's delayed, for example, Maghrib to the time of Isha, and they are combined at the time of Isha, definitely to start with the Maghrib prayer first, because the order is something that is very important. And if you delay it and you had already returned home, then you have to complete the Isha prayer to be 4 rak'ah. If you are in state of being a traveler, then the Maghrib is 3 rak'ah and the Isha is 2 rak'ah. At the time, again, either Maghrib or either Isha. Which one to choose? Whatever is easier for you for your traveling, this is what is closer to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ.
This is in case you haven't arrived yet, but I kind of want to make this point clear. If, for example, someone is traveling and they've started traveling before Maghrib came in,
Right.
and then they didn't stop on the way to pray for, they had some sort of reason. So when they go home in their home country or in their home village or in their home city, how do they pray? Do they still shorten the prayers? Obviously they combine the prayers. They combine both Maghrib and Isha, for example. But do they also shorten the prayers, or do they not?
No. As a rule, if you are in your home, when you're not called a traveler, you cannot combine. So you cannot make it complete, You can combine, but you cannot shorten your prayer. So you can delay the Maghrib to pray with Isha prayer at the time of Isha, but Isha prayer will be 4 rak'ah, not 2, because this is your home. But another question comes with this. What if you arrived before Isha, 10 minutes before Isha? Can you wait till Isha time comes and then you combine? No. Now once you arrived, you're not a traveler anymore.
Therefore you have to pray Maghrib on time.
Yes.
Beautiful, mashallah. Jazakallah khair. Sister Noor al-Jannah, she's asking, Assalamu alaikum, my question is regarding backbiting. I'm having troubles with colleagues at work and parents at home. I lead life as normal, no grudges against people around me. However, my concern is I've been complaining about my daily life to my sister only, and only is all caps, which means we talked about other people. Is this also considered backbiting?
Backbiting, as the Prophet ﷺ defined it, ذِكْرُ أَخَاكَ بِمَا يَكْرَهُ, which means the mention of your brother with something that he dislikes. So anything, whether it's a person you know, whether it's someone that you do not know, the sanctity of the Muslim is to be protected. It doesn't matter whether it's the closest person to you, whether it's even between the husband and wife. Usually there's no secrets between the husband and the wife. The husband comes home and he talks about people. Or the wife goes somewhere and she comes back home and she talks to her husband about her friends. And my friend did this, and this is very dangerous.
Yeah, I remember
this
we talked about that in
and it
Ramadan.
leads to something that is even sometimes more evil. So it's something that has to be stopped immediately.
What if you're complaining but you're not mentioning names? For example, you say, I had problems at work today, or my boss, an identified boss, like, the person you're talking to doesn't know who that person is. He said, my boss was really harsh on me today, he said this to me, he's treating me in a mean way, he's singling me out in front of other people.
Right. If the person that you're talking to would not have a clue whatsoever who that person is, there's no harm. Or there's a benefit of saying that, trying to seek advice or whatever, and it's better to avoid the names. And if you know that they might have a clue who that person is, then you should do something else, so that they don't get to know the person.
Jazakallah khair. Sisters, let me remind you of our phone numbers, so you can begin giving us a call, inshallah, 002-0238-555, 248 or 249, inshallah, or Huda_TV on Skype. We are with you live right now, and we'd love to take your questions for the next 45 minutes or so. There's also a sister who's asking about working in a restaurant where alcohol is served, and she is not involved in the process. For example, she's a cook. She works in the kitchen. So what she's doing is that she's getting orders for food, chicken or beef or whatever it is, and she's making that food, assuming that she's not making any type of haram food, meaning like anything related to pork or these types of things. Would it be okay for her to work at such a place?
Well, this has more than one issue to it. First, the place itself when it sells alcohol, sells haram, the environment, the place is involving haram, it's not permissible for a Muslim to be present in that place. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَقَدْ نَزَّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الْكِتَابِ أَنْ إِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ يُكْفَرُ بِهَا وَيُسْتَهْزَأُ بِهَا فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ. That it's not permissible for you to sit with them, otherwise you are one of them, even if you're not involved of what they're doing. When you cook food for people and they would drink wine or alcohol with it, you're basically helping them to commit sins by one mean or the other, which is definitely not permissible. If the food, as you said, does not involve any haram, you're still helping them to commit what is haram, and that's why it's not permissible. You add to that, if it's a sister doing this job, and this is something that sometimes sisters are in need of money and there's nobody to help them, it's the responsibility of the communities that they are in. A Muslim woman should not ever have to put herself in such a humiliating position, intermingling with men, especially in these types of environments. It's not permissible for her to be present in, and it's the responsibility of the community that she's living in, that they would support her and make her honored and have her dignity in being away from all of these types of bad environments.
Jazakallah khair. Here's an interesting question from a sister who calls herself Inshallah Jannah. Inshallah Jannah for all of us. She says, Assalamu alaikum. I have a question regarding polygamy. Should we, I mean, the English is not quite correct, so I'm going to try to correct it. Should someone feel guilty if they're talking with, or they're talking or chatting with a co-wife to be, okay, without knowledge of the co-wife to be that she's going to be a co-wife to be?
No. It's feeling guilty. I'm not sure exactly whether it's okay to feel guilty or not. This is something that is personal. But as far as permissibility is concerned, there's no harm as long as there's no lies, there's no anything that is haram involved in the speaking.
But what if she's trying to find out about the manners of of that sister's husband, with the intention that she wants to marry that person? Right.
That's fine. I mean, it's not considered to be backbiting then, because it's her rights to know his characteristics very well, even the bad habits before the good habits, the good things in him. So as long as there's no haram involved, but this is absolutely fine.
Even if the sister who she's talking to, right, she's kind of just maybe talking to her about her husband, either in a good way or a bad way. That's not the point. Right. But she doesn't know that this other sister is asking her because the other sister wants to know if wants this person to be her husband. Wants to judge if this person should be her husband or not.
As far as
I feel that's where the guilt is coming from.
Right. If you ask me, it's something that she should try to avoid that because of what's the outcome of it. And this is a Muslim sister to her.
And this can create animosity between both of them, even if they do become co-wives.
Right. And if she get to know that afterwards, she would feel that she's been deceived or whatever, even if it's not true or anything like that. That if you know that there's some evil might come up as a result of something that is permissible, then you should definitely avoid it. So seek other means to try to do that, but not that way.
Jazakallah khair. All right, Sister Dija, she has two questions. Okay, she says, is it okay to pray in a room where there's a guy, or if he is in the next room but only apart through a glass door?
Women, when they are in their prayer or elsewhere, they're supposed to observe the hijab. And the hijab is not just a piece of cloth. It's a way of life, basically, when she's concealed away from the eyes of the stranger men. So in Salah, the same thing, she should be away from the eyes of men. When it says that it's in the same room, considering the word room meaning in the masjid, for example, or a public place, but if it's a private room and a woman with a stranger man, this is definitely not a good thing. Or even if there are more than one people together, can she pray in the same room? She has to be covered in such a way that no man would see her in a position that is not permissible for her to be seen. And that's why the issue of, the reason I said that is many of the sisters today, their hijab is not proper. Why I'm saying that? Because if their hijab is proper, they can pray in public, no problem. Meaning in sujood and ruku', it won't shape the body. Not shaping the body is not just when they're standing. Not shaping the body is when they are in ruku' and sujood. Many of the sisters, they They shy away from praying, for example, when they're outside of the home because of what? Because of the sujood position or the ruku' position.
Yes.
But if the clothing is wide enough, that problem won't be there. You add to it, if the sister, for example, covers her face, then she can continue to cover her face if she fears that men would see her. That's absolutely fine. But to be away from men as much as she can, this is definitely important. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the best of the lines of women are the back lines, because this is the furthest lines from the men, and vice versa when it comes to the front lines. But she has to pray, which is it's a very important point, because many of the sisters, they don't pray when they're outside of their homes.
Out of the shyness. But what you're telling me though is, would it be okay for a sister to make ruku'ah or to make sujood? Because that position in itself, the position of her body moving, could be a fitna in itself, even if she's wearing proper hijab.
Right. To some extent, if the hijab is proper, that won't be there. I'm talking about the proper hijab, when it's wide, when it's not shaping the body whatsoever. But still, she should be away from the eyes of men still. But if it's from far away distance, nobody will be able to see anything.
If we say the proper hijab, and if we number it into 1, 2, 3, 4, because we have, of course, sisters from many different cultures who wear, different types of clothing. But if we have general guidelines that apply to every single person, every single sister, what would these be specifically?
The hijab that covers the whole body. The hijab has to be wide enough that doesn't shape the body. Doesn't shape the body means it won't be seen whether she is skinny or not. Right? Not just shaping the body like tight or anything like that. It does not shape the body. If somebody sees her, it's difficult to say whether she is skinny or not. Right? So that means it has to be very wide. It's not transparent. Does not see through. It's not imitating the ways of the disbelievers. It does not imitate the ways of men, and it's not adornment in itself. So when somebody would see it, would say, wow, this is very beautiful. Even the outside appearance. That's only exclusive for the maharim. So if these conditions are met, then mashallah, the hijab is proper.
And also, should not have any perfume.
Of course, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is something that is
How about the shoes? Well, what does that have to do? Some people wear proper hijab, but then the shoes are a little bit off.
The hijab is supposed to be covering, and the shoes, if it shows anything, or the shoes in itself is extravagant, or it shows beauty, attracts the eyes of people, this is definitely to be avoided.
How about high heels?
High heels is definitely to be avoided, of course.
For what reason? Is it because of the way it looks, or is it because of the sound it makes?
Right. The sound, it attracts the attention of people. It's adornment by itself. It would never be safe that the foot and everything will be covered with high heels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid even the thing that is where as an adornment in the bottom of the leg of the woman. So this is all part of this, as the ulama they say. Jazakallah
khair. All right, so the sister's second question is also relating to kind of something similar. She says, is wudu still valid after you shake or touch the hand of a man, even though it means nothing? And I want to divide up her question into two parts. Okay, first of all, the first part is the intentional shaking of a man's hand. Would that invalidate wudu? And of course, you mentioned if that's even allowed or not. And then the second part, touching a man's hand unintentionally. For example, if someone is walking in the street and unintentionally his body touches a sister, or someone who came onto a bus or something like that in an unintentional manner, would that invalidate wudu? And when she says even though it means nothing, what I'm assuming she's saying is without shahwa, is without desire.
Right. Regardless whether it's intentional or not intentional, it does not break the wudu. And with the differences of opinions among the ulama, especially if there's no desire involved, it does not break the wudu even if it's haram. So shaking the hands of a husband, for example, there's nothing wrong with that, and it does not break the wudu unless there's desire involved. When it comes to non-mahram or men in general, this is not permissible for a woman to shake hands with a man, and the same thing for the men. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inni la usafihu nisa," I do not shake hands with women. And he said that لَأَنْ يُطْعَنْ فِي رَأْسِ أَحَدِكُمْ بِمِخْيَطٍ مِنْ حَدِيدٍ, that if one of you would be stabbed with a thorn of steel or iron in one's head, is better for him than to touch a woman that is not permissible for him. So this is not permissible to shake the hand, but if it happened and it's a sin, right, it does not break the wudu. Allahu Akbar.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feek. All right, so a sister is asking, she says that she has a talent, in sewing clothes, and she wants to open a tailor shop, but she doesn't know the outcome of the clothes that she's going to make. Where are people going to wear it? Obviously, as you know, Sheikh Ibrahim, today one item of clothes can, the same exact item, two people can buy it from the same store. Yeah. One can wear it outside, and one can wear it exclusively, for the husband inside. This is the reality that we're living in. So this sister, if she's making clothes, she's afraid, that she might be sinful for these types of clothes.
Before I answer this question, I would like to say that with these types of questions, which is, mashallah, shows the eagerness of the sisters to learn the matters of the deen, somebody might listen to us and would say the matter is so strict and it's so difficult. It is not strict and difficult whatsoever if we would witness the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His mercy. And again, as I say all the time, it's the people that made the life of those who want to be righteous, they made it difficult for them. But the religion is easy. It's to protect your honor and dignity. It's to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to enjoy the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But anyway, when at certain times when people are making it difficult for others and themselves, then we still have to abide by the orders of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith that a time would come that those people, those who would hold fast to their religion, is like holding fast on a hot coal, right? And this example, when you ponder over it, if your life is in this hot coal, that means if you let it go, you will die. You would definitely hold very tight to it. The same thing when it comes to holding fast to the orders of Allah. So something like this. What was the question again? I forgot.
The question is the sister who wants to open a tailor shop.
For the tailor shop, it's like selling grapes to someone that would squeeze it to make wine from it. It's the same ruling. Clothing is permissible. And as you said, someone might use it for something halal, and someone would use it for something haram. We're not supposed to ask every person comes and interview the person, what are you going to do with it? But with the outside appearance, he would get to know. So if a Muslim woman wearing hijab and comes and she wants something that is not the clothing of a woman wearing hijab outside of the home, that means she's going to wear it for her husband in the home and so on, then definitely there's no harm in this whatsoever.
Well, the question is, can you be selective when it comes to selling if you have a store that's open to the public?
Right, to the public. It would be difficult in some countries, of course, and things like this, but that's why you have to be, you cannot do it. The same thing with makeups, for example. Someone sells makeup. It's permissible, right? But if somebody enters the store and she's already have makeup on, it is not permissible for you to sell it to her. But this is against the laws of many countries. She can, shut down your store basically. So that's why either to avoid selling this in these types of environments, or you do it on, people can do things over the internet or things like this, and they can be selective that way. But we have to make sure that we doing the right thing in these things.
Jazakallah khair. Sister Amina from Nigeria, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Please, I just want to ask, if a friend asks me about family planning.
If a friend asks you about what, sister?
Hello? She's asking me about family planning.
I did not get that. She's asking you about?
Okay. So, yes. And she wants to know which method is better.
Unfortunately, we were not able to get the question. We got the last part, which is better, but what is exactly it is, I'm not sure. Inshallah, Sister Amina, if you can try to give us a call back, maybe the person in the control room, inshallah, the brother in the control room can take the question, and then he can give it to us, because he can maybe hear the phones a little bit clearer than we can. All right, we have a message from Sister Aisha. She's asking a question. She's like, how does one reconcile on fiqh issues and differences of opinion? For example, one says have a TV at home and the other says don't have a TV at all. Raising the finger in tashahhud, etc. And also there are many who say intention matters and it counts on the type of circumstance, and some say we should directly follow what our Prophet, peace be upon him, has commanded us to do. What about in matters where Prophet Muhammad had not told us anything about?
No. This issue normally, or in the old days before internet and people get to know each other and the whole world is like a small village, when people would have an issue, they would go to the scholar or to the religious person, the knowledgeable one in their town or in their village or the masjid. They ask him and they give him the verdict and the matter is finished. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. As the people of knowledge, if you do not know. And the responsibility of the people of knowledge, it's a heavy responsibility. Why? Because they're supposed to give to the people what they believe is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. Even if there's differences of opinions, right? But they would do their best because they are people of knowledge. So they won't be blindly following a madhab or an imam or so because he's a person of knowledge. He would follow the principles of that imam that he follows, but not necessarily in every single mas'ala or issue he would imitate or blindly follow this imam, because he's a alim, he's a person of knowledge, and accordingly he would give the verdict to the people. So the ijtihad of the people, they strive to find who's the alim, who's the scholar. And once they find him, they trust his knowledge and his religion. Whatever they tell them, they do, and that's it. And the matter is over. The person of knowledge, his ijtihad is in the text, in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and so on. So someone, like from the masses, ask a question about anything. You have different answers or different opinions on what to do in that case. Either you have the knowledge, then you can differentiate between the sayings and the evidences that are used. If you don't have the knowledge, then who, and this is something that you have to be honest with oneself, because this is what you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Day of Judgment with, who according to the best of your ability has more knowledge and more religion. More knowledge and more religion, meaning that he's more righteous than others. And take his opinion, and you know for sure that he's not blindly following someone or a madhab or whatever, then you are doing the right thing. And there are many issues to this, one of which people should not, as they say, do not shop for fatwa. You want a certain opinion, so you look for it. Till you find it, this is desire, this is not religion. Once you ask the person of knowledge, that's it, the matter is over. Unless something come up, you get to know something else, so you're confused, so you ask a person of knowledge, you're trying to find the truth. This is matter of deen. That this is, you would come on the Day of Judgment, and this alim will be, if it's correct to say that, between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Either would lead you to your success or otherwise. So you have to be concerned, and once this concern is there and you seek the proper knowledge, mashallah, things will be easy. But with the issue, the specific examples mentioned here, television, yes or not, this can be not necessarily as an instrument, it's halal or haram, but according to what's in the television. So definitely is to be avoided nowadays because of how many evil there is being, people are subjected to when they have television, unless they are strictly having just the proper channels. But if the remote control is just flipping through different channels and it's good and bad, then definitely evil should be pushed away, given more precedence than having goodness coming.
What do you say when people say that there's a saying that differences between my ummah is a rahmah, is a mercy? Is this statement valid, or is the truth only one?
This is always referred as hadith. This is not a sound hadith, this is a fabricated hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. So differences, it's not rahmah whatsoever.
It's a fabricated hadith on behalf of the Prophet ﷺ.
Right.
Yeah, because someone may say from the Prophet ﷺ, so they think that the Prophet ﷺ fabricated.
Right. Of course not.
Of course, alhamdulillah.
So this is a fabricated statement, of course. But the point is here, is the truth is one. And we have to respect the fact that there's differences of opinions. This is something normal, and it does not make us enemies to one another, as long as the differences is not matter of aqeedah or beliefs, it just matters of fiqh. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum themselves, they had differences of opinions, and they were brothers. So, and this is by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so it's correct from a different perspective. It's by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for people to strive and get rewards. So the one that reach the right opinion get 2 rewards, and the one that doesn't get 1 reward. So this is by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also for people to strive, so that they don't just take the deen and that's it. They need to strive to find out what is right and what is wrong.
Jazakallah khairan. My dear sisters, we're going to take a short break, inshallah. When we come back, we'd love to have more of your phone calls. We'll also take more questions from you on Facebook, so stay with us, inshallah.
Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah.
اللهم انصر دينك وكتابك وسنة نبيك وعبادك الموحدين
The Prophet Muhammad taught me how to be kind.
The Prophet ﷺ taught me the importance of seeking knowledge.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me how to respect and be kind to my parents.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me how to make da'wah for Muslims and non-Muslims.
The Prophet ﷺ taught me how to be kind to my parents.
Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught me how to have mercy for mankind.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me that I do to others what I wish done to myself.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me how to respect women.
اللهم انصر دينك وكتابك وسنة نبيك وعبادك الموحدين.
Anger and violence have spilled over onto the
escalated into violent clashes between police and protesters.
Over the government's plan to avoid default.
And we're also hearing of injuries on both.
Journalist Charlie McGrath says the cuts will heap further suffering on ordinary people.
For decades, but the fence needs some
This is a serious and big storm.
Join me as I explore pressing issues facing the Muslim world today. From the one-sided civil war in Syria to the genocide in Burma, from the Arab Spring to the elections in the US, and yes, even the Euro debt crisis in Greece. Honest reporting on a channel you can trust, and I won't leave an issue untouched. Don't miss the Ummah Tonight with me, Malik, on your favorite channel, Huda TV.
Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear sisters, welcome back to your program, Dear Sisters. I want you to take advantage of this next 20 or 25 minutes, inshallah, and give us a call at 002-0238-555-248 or 249, or also through Skype at Huda_TV. And ask us your questions bidnillah ta'ala and share your comments with us. Sheikh Ibrahim, there's a sister who is asking about the difference between the name Fajr and Subh. She's saying, is the obligatory salah, is it called Fajr or is it called Subh?
This is a very interesting question because it leads to sometimes a lot of confusion to people. Fajr is the same thing as Subh. There's only 5 obligatory prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it obligatory on us. So the first one, the morning one, it's called Fajr or called Subh. Yes, some of the ulama, they call it differently, but as far as the obligation is concerned, which starts with the break of Fajr, the break of dawn to sunrise, this is called Fajr or Subh, right? So this is an obligatory thing. The reason I'm saying that is some people, they think that Fajr is at the time, starts with the break of Fajr, the break of dawn, and Subh is something that whenever they wake up, they don't have to pray Fajr. They can wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and they can pray Subh and they missed Fajr.
Usually when you hear the word Subh, you think of after the sun has risen.
Right, no. Subh, if you read it in the hadith, it means the Fajr prayer. It's 2 words that has the same meaning, and it's only one obligation, which is between the break of dawn till sunrise.
Jazakallah khairan. Here's a question from Sister Arsheth. She says that she has some sort of disease, I think it's called vitiligo or something. Basically she says white patches on the skin. She says it's very disastrous for a sister to have this. She tried a lot of medicines but did not recover from this skin disease. Now the white spots spread all over her body except the face, alhamdulillah. More than 50% of the body has these white spots. People are staring and self-confidence is lost because of the disease. Due to this life, she became lonely. She's not going anywhere, not attending any celebrations, staying alone at work to try to escape people from staring at her. She says, in Islam, is it allowed for this type of patient to remove normal skin to make full body image in uniform color? Please show the right solution for such patients in the light of Islam.
No. First, I would definitely advise her not to be sad or anything like that. Witness the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. And life is a test, and people are tested with many different things. Some people are tested with their health, some people are tested with wealth, with a bad husband, a bad wife, many things. You know, this is just something for us to gain rewards and to expiate our sins. And definitely if the sister is patient and seeking rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a way of elevating herself by being patient, obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As far as the question is concerned, I'm not really sure about the disease itself. And that's why the reason I'm saying that, it's the matter has to be dealt with specifically, with the name of the disease, and someone to be asked when it comes to the outcome of such cure or means of cure, whether it's harmful or not. Right? If it's harmful, definitely, and what's the level of harm? Things like so there are many variables to it. But I will talk not necessarily to that specific case in general.
When you say harm, are you talking about harm of removing the normal skin,
right?
Or are you talking about that this skin disease would actually cause harm if it spreads?
No, the harm that would happen if she would do that type of cure to herself.
Okay.
Whether it's harmful to her or not. Right? Whether it's contagious or not, I'm not sure exactly what's the details of it. And that's why she should ask specifically with her case, with the exact explanation of the disease to someone, a person of knowledge. But in general, right, if this is something that is not normal to the skin, which is definitely the case, and to cover that up or to do patches, if it's correct to say that, without any harm, without any problems whatsoever, then there's nothing wrong with this whatsoever.
Well, what she's doing is that in order to unify the skin color, I want to tell her that it's okay also, but I just want to make sure though that it's
from the normal skin and put it on that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, but what I feel, what she's asking is that the white patches, the patches that she has, okay, the discolored skin is about 50%. So she's asking if she can discolor the other 50% in order for the entire color to be uniform.
Oh, okay. No.
I believe that's the case. It's not about taking one piece of good skin and putting it on another piece of bad skin in order to cover it up. No, it's about the goal is cosmetic, to uniform the color, because she's dealing with all these emotional problems and.
Well, with the name of the disease, inshallah ta'ala, we can try to find out exactly and I always have to refer back if there is something from the people of knowledge already mentioned about it, instead of me making a fatwa for something new, which is I'm not that person. So to wait and to see, and maybe next time, inshallah ta'ala, we can answer with that specific case and specific disease.
Inshallah, we can research the disease itself and look forward, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. All right, so another sister, she says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Afifa, she says, Jazakumullah khairan for this wonderful work. I have a question. I'm a mother of toddlers, so while I read my salah, I pray, the elder kid tries to hurt the little one. I don't really scream out, but at times I say in a kind of a loud voice. I hope my salah is not becoming invalid due to this. She's asking.
During the salah, of course, we're supposed to have concentration and devotion and so on. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for the sisters. They go through a lot of these types of distractions when they're making the salah, but it's a great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah ta'ala, when she strives to have the devotion at the same time to take care of her kids, because they need to be attended, right? So it's definitely something good to be done. What invalidates the salah, if there are letters that comes out of the mouth, that would invalidate the salah, saying something, right? But instead, if she coughs or some things like this, there's no harm, and it's to be done only to protect or to stop something from happening. There's no harm, but as long as no letters are being pronounced, then that's fine.
Jazakallah khair. Sister Basira from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, sister, go ahead with your question.
Fasting on the 9th and 10th of Muharram expiates creates sin. But what about the women who cannot fast due to their menses?
What about the woman who can't fast on these days?
Yeah, who cannot fast due to their menses.
Okay. Jazakallah khair.
No. The first part of the question is, yes, fasting the day of Al-Ashura, the 10th of Al-Muharram, as the Prophet ﷺ said, expiates the sins of a previous year. For women, those who have menses and they cannot fast, this is also the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the reward is also from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. They cannot fast, but as far as the reward is concerned, with the proper intentions can go far away, far ahead of one's actions. So if the sister had the intentions, if she was not on her menses, that she would fast, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the rewards. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful.
Barakallahu feek. Sister Aisha says a question that we kind of answered a few times, but this one is just a little bit different. She says, my question is, my house is so close to the masjid. Can I follow the imam when he's praying while I'm at home?
The answer is no, because this is not the masjid. And the only way that the salah will be valid if the person is not in the masjid is that if the lines are connected all the way to the outside of the masjid and a person is praying outside. So a person looking at it from the helicopter, lines are connected, so it's the same place, it's the same environment, and they're praying together. But once they pray in different houses, different places, then it's not permissible, even if they can hear the imam. Even I've seen places where the masajid have speakers in the nearby homes. And this is not valid, of course. It's good for durus, for lectures and so on, but not to follow them in the salah.
Jazakallah khairan. Sister says, is it allowed to use black henna instead of brown henna?
The black henna for men, with the differences of opinions, but it's something to be forbidden for men and to be stopped. The Prophet ﷺ said that for men, especially for men. But for women, there's no harm. So for women to dye their hair with black henna, there's no harm. It's only for men that is forbidden for them.
So subhanAllah, people say women have all these restrictions. It looks like the men are the ones who have the restrictions. When it comes to this hadith specifically about men using black henna, is it really about the color black, or is it about the original color of the hair?
No, it's with the black color. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَجَنِّبُوا السَّوَدِ. It's something, as the Prophet ﷺ said, to stay away from black.
Even if the original color is brown, so the purpose is not to kind of fake age?
It's something to do with it, of course. But if a person's original hair is brown or
blonde or something,
then as long as the person is avoiding black, he's okay.
Exactly. I had to stick a brother's question in there as well, inshallah. Sister Fatima from Somalia, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, sister, go ahead with your question.
I wanted to ask the Sheikh, I have 2 children from previous marriage.
You have 2 children from a previous marriage?
And I married again last year. And just 2 days ago, my husband was diagnosed with azoospermia. That means we cannot.
What happened 2 days ago, Sister Fatma?
So that means that azoospermia. So that means we cannot have other children.
I did not get. Did you get that last part of the question?
So how can the Sheikh advise me to strengthen my iman to stay with my husband?
Okay, sister, I want you to just focus with me here for just a moment. Okay, you had 2 children from a previous marriage. Now, what happened with the new husband? You said 2 days ago something happened. What happened 2 days ago?
He was diagnosed with a condition called azoospermia.
Not getting this part of the question. Sister, let me transfer you. Stay on the line, inshallah. Let me transfer you over back to the control room. If for the brother there, please take her question and don't hang up, and then relate it to me, and then inshallah we'll answer you, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. All right, we have another question from Sister Arfana, who is talking about, can a woman dye her hair in general, and what is... she's talking about something like the water should not reach the root of the hair. Is that because when you dye the hair, obviously the color reaches the root of the hair?
Right. Usually, the dye for the hair does not create something on top of the skull or the hair that will prevent the water from going in there. It just becomes part of the hair. So unless it's something different, unless it's a thick layer of something that will prevent the water from reaching the head and so on, then it's a different matter, because the water should reach, of course, especially in matters of ghusl. But as far as the dye is concerned, the dye does not prevent the water from getting into the skull and so on.
Sister Bibi is asking an important question. Most of the questions that we're receiving are related to fiqh. Now this is kind of a different question. She says, how can one pay more attention to Islam? Sometimes my mind changes and I don't feel to pray or read the Quran, meaning her iman goes down sometimes.
No. Feelings, it's normal to be sometimes feeling up or down or bored or not. This is part of our human nature. But as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned something close to that meaning, he said, لِكُلِّ أَمْرٍ شَرَّةٍ. For every matter there is a high point or a peak. And for every peak there is a down time for it. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ فَتْرَةُ إِلَى سُنَّتِي فَقَدْ هُدِيَ. What really matters is when you're feeling down or you feel bored and so on. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever in that time is according to my sunnah, he is guided or she is guided. There might be many reasons, one of which is the environment, one of which is, of course, the sins that the person would commit. So we need to make sure that we achieve matters of iman by constantly asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, putting yourself in the proper environment, stay away from sins, seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and even if you feel yourself that you don't feel like doing things, still you do the obligatory prayer, still you do the obligations by staying away from sins. The optional acts of worship, you do the best you can. But the very important thing is with the environment that we involve ourselves with. Whether it's countries, places, we have to make sure that we are with the proper people, the righteous ones, those who will remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah khairan. I want to take a moment to thank Brother Muhammad Shukhba in the control room. He just relayed to me Sister Fatma's question, and I was able to get it. Now, we said she was married before, and she had 2 children from a previous marriage. Now she got married, some sort of divorce maybe, or the husband died, and she got married again. And now the issue was, only 2 days ago she found out that her husband is not able to have children. So she's asking for advice from you in order to keep her iman strong, and how can she continue in her marriage.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. And usually these types of things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And if the question is to an advice to keep the marriage strong, turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High subhanahu wa ta'ala, and be kind to your husband and be dutiful to him, and be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave you 2 children, that you can raise them, and so on and so forth. It's the rights of the wife, of course, to have children, but if she's patient with her husband, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, things can change. With the dua, and definitely knowing that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decree for you is the best for you. This is not something that we say to ourselves to make ourselves feel good. This is a matter of belief. This is a matter of creed. That definitely matters of this dunya, this world. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees something, this is the best way ever for us to be patient and to deal with it in the proper way. The same decree, if a person would deal with it in a sinful way, then it becomes very bad. But when a person deals with it with being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being obedient to Allah, definitely this is the best.
Also, I want to say about that, I mean, I'm sure there are other sisters watching right now who, are not married. They don't have a chance to be married, in the near future, at least in their vision.
Right.
Maybe they've passed a certain age and they're still, haven't had any marriage proposals, and they just wish to have 1 child.
Right.
So alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed the sister with 2 children and a husband.
Right.
I think if she also contemplates on that, that would make things easier for her. And also, tell me what you think about this. A lot of brothers, may complain if the sister that they're married to is not having children, and they may want to leave her for that reason. And then, others come to them and say, well, did you marry her for children, or did you marry her for her? So maybe the sister should think the same way as well. I mean, when she wanted to get married to this brother, was it for the intention only of having children, or was it because she loves this person, or she cares for this person?
Well, it's both ways. I mean, a person would get married to protect oneself from committing sins and to fulfill the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and to be obedient to Allah more, definitely. And one of which is to fulfill the wish of the Prophet ﷺ. The wish of the Prophet ﷺ when he said, تَنَكَحُ تَنَسَلُوا, and so on. Get married, have children, because فَإِنِّي مُبَاهِمْ بِكُمُ الْأُمَمَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. I will be proud of you in the day of judgment from among the among the nations. So when a person would want to have a lot of children with that intention, because this is something that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to do, this is definitely a very good thing. right? Especially at a time when people are doing the opposite.
Yes.
So it's a valid feeling that the sister would get or the brother would get, which is definitely valid, and it's good. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward her if the feeling was also because of that, because of after hearing this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. To even, as some of the ulama, they mentioned, one of the intentions to have children is that although you don't ask for a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but if two of them died for you before they reach the age of puberty, they will be a shield for you from the hellfire. You don't do that with that intention, but maybe this is part of the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
yes.
And the pain that you would get by being patient and being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would elevate your level, which basically means that this life is nothing but a test, and everything shall be behind our backs, and everybody's going forward in this life to our final destination in it. After that, it's either Jannah or the hellfire. So being patient and seek rewards from Allah, have the time to recite the Quran, seek knowledge, take advantage of your free time and to do something that is good, definitely is a good thing.
Jazakallah khairan. Sister Joanne from the UAE, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
You are our last caller for this afternoon, so alhamdulillah, we're glad that you're with us.
I am so lucky.
Go ahead.
Yes. My question is about wearing hijab. Is it necessary to wear hijab inside the toilet? And,
inside where, I'm sorry?
Inside the toilet. And is it necessary to wear hijab while doing wudu also?
Okay, so you're asking about two parts. The first one is if it's necessary to wear hijab in the toilet, and the other one is while making wudu.
The second one is it necessary to wear hijab during wudu? And is it permissible to talk while doing wudu?
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, barakallah feek. Okay, we'll answer this question quickly, inshallah, and then we'll end.
If this means in other than her home, maybe the question might be somehow valid. If a Muslim woman, she is not in her home and she goes to the toilet and she makes wudu, if the door is closed, right, and she's in the toilet, right, she can of course take off her hijab and nobody's present, and she can make wudu without the hijab and so on. But if it's she's afraid that somebody might walk by, see through whatever there is, then she should keep on her hijab. But if she's at home, of course, as we all know that a Muslim woman, she doesn't have to wear hijab, of course. If she's at home and there's no men there and there's no strangers and so on, she just wears the normal clothing that a woman would wear at home.
Does that also apply to wudu?
The same thing with wudu, of course. The same thing with reciting Quran. Some women, they think that they have to have hijab while they are reciting Quran. No, they can recite Quran without having hijab on. It's only the salah. And in front, of course, men and so on.
Jazakallah khairan. Really appreciate all the answers we've covered, mashallah. A lot of topics, alhamdulillah, today, inshallah, it was of benefit to our sisters. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, inshallah. Barakallah feek. And my dear sisters, we're very thankful that you have joined us in this past hour. We hope, inshallah, that this past hour was of benefit and that you gained quite a bit of knowledge. We'll see you again next week, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, at 4:30 Mecca time. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah. Dear sisters, let's make the future bright. Dear sisters, mothers, daughters and wives. Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah. Dear sisters, let's make the future bright. Dear sisters, mothers, daughters and wives. Dear sisters, let us get closer to Allah. Dear sisters, let us learn of Rasulullah. Dear sisters, let's make the future bright. Dear sisters, mothers, daughters and wives.